Waters here, and it's my pleasure to welcome live to the GameSpot stage show here Vince Sampella, one of the founders of Respawn Entertainment. Vince, welcome. It's a big week for you guys. Titanfall finally revealed, the project you've been working on for so long, and that must feel good.
It does feel good. It feels good to finally be out there, be able to show, what we've been working on.
Show the labor of love, and we are going to be taking a look at the footage from yesterday's press conference during the demo here, as well as some new Titanfall clips towards the end of the demo. So stick with us here, folks, and let us know any questions you want me to ask about Titanfall. Personally, I'm just watching the match play out yesterday during the press conference. Just got me excited to get my hands on, to get in and play it, because of that interplay between, your third person. Between your human character and the Titans. That is so integral to Titanfall. How did that sort of come about? How did you guys get that idea germinated?
It was the first year of the studio. We have a lot of amazingly talented people kind of all coming in with these strong ideas, things that we want to do. We kind of wanted to keep things grounded, somewhat familiar, but kind of push the boundaries, to do something a little different. So it was just a year of, painful back and forth, what works, what doesn't, experimenting, trying things, and it finally ended up, I don't even know if I could describe the process, but it ended up at, okay, this idea, the core of the idea works, that big versus small, the balance of, being a pilot, being a Titan, and times where, it's not like the ultimate goal is get a Titan, drop that in, and then you're powerful.
And then that's it.
Right.
No.
It's a balance. There's times where you don't want to be or can't be in a Titan, so you want to be the pilot, and they're super agile. They can get to places where the Titans can't. So it's getting that balance of areas of the map where only pilots can go, mixed with areas of the map where Titans kind of dominate, and balance those perfectly, and balance the gameplay of being in a Titan versus being out of a Titan, and that dynamic is so different yet so familiar that it feels great.
That's a really ambitious balancing act you guys are taking on, and definitely showed very well at the Microsoft press conference yesterday. Before we get into talking about some of those mechanics, especially that agility from the pilots, that was really striking, and I want to ask you more about that. Give us just sort of the broad view of Titanfall and the universe it's set in. What's the context?
It's obviously not on Earth.
Sure.
So it's kind of like the new frontier in space. So people go out there. It's kind of more Wild West feeling. It's people set up shop. They're on these planets, and then there's this corporation that comes in, and they think they're doing the right thing. They organize. They're hey, this planet is resource rich. We're going to come in and we're gonna frack it and take all the resources out of it.
Yep.
But that's where these frontier people live.
Settlers already there. That's their life. That's their world. So they probably don't take so kindly to having it strip mined.
Yeah, imagine that. So it's that both sides feel they're doing the right thing. So it's that clash of like big company versus these frontiersmen, and how that plays out.
But both factions having access to these Titans, to these powerful mechs that they seem built for battle. Obviously in the match we saw, but I kind of imagine the Settlers ones are a little bit more like, hey, we use these for construction and farming, and then, we have to fight somebody with them.
They're a little more, these are the militarized versions. Obviously, the ones on the corporate side are a little more,
slick,
polished.
Top of the line. Yeah. But one of the things I really liked about the Titans, that touch of the pilot running towards it and the Titan actually reaching out and grabbing them, and there was definitely a few times where my danger alert went off. I'm like, oh, it's gonna eat you, or oh no, it's gonna crush your skull. But no, that's it's friendly. It's like, come in here, come inside of me, and we will kill together.
You don't want an enemy Titan to do that to you, but yeah, when you're friendly Titan, that's your Titan. It's locked to you. No one can steal it. And when you get up to it, if you're jumping, he'll grab you out and stuff you inside. We wanted that to be fluid. We didn't want it to be a clumsy kind of, that takes 5-10 seconds to get into. It's just, what can we do to make it as cool looking and as fast as possible?
And that's an interesting point too, that you can come in from on foot, you can come in from on top. Basically, you enter that Titan's zone of control, or that you get close enough, it's going to grab you and pull you in, so you don't have to worry about an approach vector, or I have to get around the back. Yeah,
there's a top hatch that you can climb into, not in the front hatch. He'll grab you from the front. You can slide between his legs, and he'll scoop you up and stick you in. If you go from the side, you kind of hang onto his finger and kind of loop in.
It's
a lot of
like
dynamic entry.
Like me and my Titan. Like,
yeah.
hey, we're buddies.
It's that relationship. It really is. That gameplay loop of the relationship between the Titan and the pilot is so core to our game that it's important that it just feels so fluid.
Now, I imagine there's customization options within your personal Titan and loadouts for your character. Do you have sort of Can you talk a little bit about the extent to which you guys are customizing those elements?
We're not really talking about it yet. This is the reveal for the game, so we're kind of trying to save some stuff. Absolutely, that will be there, but we're not talking too much about what it is yet.
All right, well, let's talk about the sort of one of the trends of E3 this year that's emerging is the breakdown between the barrier of single-player games and multiplayer games. And the demo we saw, the reveal yesterday, that was clearly a multiplayer situation. You dropped in with the Titan. There were 3 points hard points to hold. When I sit down, I fire up my Xbox One. I'm playing Titanfall. That's a connected experience all the time.
It's a multiplayer-focused game.
There we go.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that is our focus. We wanted to take those dynamic moments, those signature kind of moments out of single-player and just put them into multiplayer. So mix that, kind of blur the boundary. This is now all the great stuff you want out of single-player put into multiplayer with that great experience. You're playing with your friends, you're playing against your friends. It's that, and all this is going on around you. There's a ton of AI on the server that's not meant to be bots. It's not meant to replace people. But that's, part of that single-player experience in multiplayer.
Sure. Yeah, you gotta have enough Titans on the field, and so yeah, complementing that with AI, that's great. Folks are curious about the Xbox 360 version because we always saw yesterday Xbox One,
right.
And Titanfall is a Microsoft exclusive, so Xbox One, Xbox 360, PC.
PC, absolutely.
Okay. Folks are curious about a look at the other versions of the game. Actually, was it running on Xbox One yesterday, or was that a PC version?
It was running on Xbox One.
Xbox One, great. Any talk on when they're going to get to see more versions?
Yeah, I don't know. We're not really thinking about it yet. We're just kind of get to the show, reveal, get out there, and then we'll show more later.
Excellent.
We've got time.
Cool. All right. Coming in off Twitter, Electric E1 wants to know about competitive play. Obviously there's sort of that line, but that's a multiplayer-focused experience. But you sort of have there were story trappings, and we're getting a glimpse of those here. Is there a pure competitive, sort of almost an esports kind of mode or focus at any part of Titanfall?
Yeah, there will be modes that you unlock that are just more like if you want to play a team deathmatch or something like that. Those modes will be there because that's what people do want those.
Because
Absolutely.
people love that.
Yeah. I mean, those are great modes. They'll always have that. The AI are there. So it's still always a little more cinematic.
Yep.
But you don't have to worry about the story, kind of.
Cool. Now we're taking a look at some of the footage from the reveal yesterday, and let's talk about being a pilot for a second. You're on foot, but that you guys are striking that balance of it's still powerful to be a pilot. There's lots of buildings around you can take cover. And the agility. You had the double jump. You were showing off wall running.
That's right.
What are you guys hoping the experience of being a pilot in this battle is going to feel like? What's it going to be like?
It has to be fast, fluid, dynamic. That's the big thing. And it's like I know when I play other shooters that don't have that, I miss it.
Yep.
So I know I feel that it's good and it's right. So it's that fluidness it feels so good.
And locomotion, such a huge part of any shooter. The way you move through space is
Absolutely.
as important as your aim or the weapon you're using.
Right.
And so to have that kind of extended flexibility, especially when you're fighting against something that is as big as a Titan. And that moment drew some gasps from during the Microsoft press conference. Little cloaking device there, some kind of abilities that the pilots will have.
That's right. There's areas, those big open areas. We don't want it to be if you get caught in the open, you're instantly dead.
Forget it. Yeah.
So we give you a little bit of a cloaking device to let you, kind of aid you in those big open areas.
Okay.
Or, it's balanced.
I believe you. Any other abilities for the pilots that you can mention now, or is that coming later?
Well, I mean that's a lot already.
That is a lot. But gamers are a greedy bunch. We just want to know more. You can't blame them for asking. All right, so some questions coming in from the Twitch chat. Wondering about cross-platform multiplayer. We mentioned Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC as the platforms for Titanfall. Are those players going to get to compete against each other?
Most likely not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's locked yet, but to me, I'd like to keep it segregated so there's no advantage or disadvantage.
And now the match we saw yesterday, how many players total were in that match?
That was a 7-on-7.
7-on-7. Is that sort of the sweet spot size for you guys, or have you experimented with matches of different populations and different scales?
Yeah, we definitely have experimented and are still experimenting. What we're locked on, we're not saying yet, just because, I mean, realistically, somewhat depends on the mode you're playing, it somewhat depends on the map and the size they're in, and so it's changing.
Sure, it's still very early days here with Titanfall, folks. Folks are curious about smart glass integration. Any kind of, obviously you're within the Microsoft ecosystem.
Right.
If people have a Surface tablet or smart glass or something, they're going to have any sort of ancillary stuff that can enhance the experience?
Yes.
All right. Folks, once again, we are taking your questions here for Vince Zampella of Respawn Entertainment, and we're talking Titanfall. We're in the twitch.tv/GameSpot chat, GameSpot.com comments, and on Twitter. So keep those questions coming. And we talked a little bit about pilots and that agility that's so key to making being a pilot viable on the battlefield. Let's talk about Titans and, how do you toe the line between wanting the pilots to have a chance, but also wanting being in a Titan to feel like, yeah, I'm in a Titan, I'm going to destroy everybody.
It's the balance. I mean, it's the way the pilots kind of get around is that agility. They can get out of the way, they can hide. There's areas where the Titans can't get to. It does feel powerful to be in a Titan, and it should. I mean, that's the goal of it. So it also feels that fluidity and that ease of control. It's not like you get into a Titan and all of a sudden your controls are different and things. It's that smoothness and that fluidity of just carrying the controls through. And Titans can't jump, but they can. They do have like jets that let them dodge to the side. So missiles coming in at you, you dodge out of the way. It's it's something that it carries on that same fluidity in a different form.
Nice. That's I think a key point, because you look at these towering mechs and it's easy to think of the many lumbering mechanized exosuits that we have all played in various games, but having that agility, having that ability to dodge incoming projectiles so that the player with the rocket launcher isn't immediately your undoing. That's so key to I think, to making this hybrid sort of gameplay work. Now, every mode is going to have, Titans, pilots. This is just the core bit. There's no pilots only, or maybe there is.
We're not really talking about all the modes yet. We're here to reveal and just give the core of our gameplay. So
absolutely,
anything could happen in the future.
Anything can happen. Okay, so can we get a taste of some of the weapons you might see on a Titan? We've seen, obviously some machine gun-esque stuff firing big rounds, but how this is a science fiction world. How out there are you guys thinking of going with the kind of weapons you are bringing to the table?
We want everything to stay very grounded. As you saw, there was mostly projectile-based weapons still. There's grenades and rocket launchers and just bullet-type weapons. There are, like you saw, the arc cannon, I believe in one of them, that will shoot kind of a blast of lightning or electricity,
yep,
and that will arc among a few people. There's the smart pistol is one that's a little bit out there where it'll lock on to another pilot. It takes a little longer. You get a warning, so it's balanced, but it'll also lock onto AI, where you can just hold it in front. There's a reticle. There's 3-4 AI in there. It'll lock onto all of them, and you pull the trigger once, and it just sends a projectile to each.
Nice.
So something like that is fun. It helps kind of bring people in and encourage them to, use the AI as they're meant to be. They're fodder. They're there to make the game more fun and interesting.
Okay, so that's I think an important point to clarify is that you've got player characters within the world and matching up, but you also have AI characters. You also have AI pilots. Do you also have AI Titans?
There are AI Titans that can be called in. There's the grunts are there to not take the place of enemy pilots.
Sure.
They're not as powerful.
Yep.
Now you can call in things, or you can call in robots that are called specters that will fight. They're not the size of Titans or the size of humans, but they're a little more powerful.
Just in sort of another battlefield asset or consideration, because they're not there to take the place of humans. They're not as powerful, but I imagine if you run low on health, if you get swarmed by a bunch of them, you're still in trouble.
Absolutely.
All right.
They'll kind of guide you through the map as things are going on. If you're you never know where to go, you follow the AI. They'll tell you. They'll point you in the right direction. They'll salute you. You're the pilot. You're the badass. So they come in and they'll say, "Oh, look, a pilot's on the scene. I can't. I'm so excited."
I like those moments where the AI turns to the player and is like, "Oh man, it's you. You're the guy. This is so cool." I'm easily flattered, I guess you could say. We got one question off Twitter from Rob James wondering about sort of the story throughout Titanfall. Is there a way to, do you chart a course through that at all, or is it a fairly linear arc that you sort of travel?
It's more vignette style, so it'll who wins one map. The outcome of that will decide what happens kind of on the next map going forward. So there's a lot of a lot of that. It's done kind of in chunks because we don't want this overbearing story throughout the multiplayer. We want it to be smaller chunks that people can live with and kind of be intrigued by.
Yeah, give you a little bit, but also this is a game about action. We want to get you. Yeah, we want to get you in that combat.
That's right.
All right, well, we are just going to wrap it up pretty soon here, folks. We're going to take one or two more questions about Titanfall. Folks are super curious about all the stuff that I've actually asked you about already, but you know, it's reveal time, folks. This is just getting your first glimpse at Titanfall, getting excited about the game, and you know, here we have sort of a capture point, hardpoint mode, and can we get maybe a glimpse of other modes, a teaser of other sort of objectives and scenarios you might encounter in the campaign?
There'll be some fun ones.
Fun ones?
Absolutely.
So like birthday party centric?
I'll put that under. I'll bring that to the team. That might
up
work.
on a whiteboard and you know, see what you guys can come up with. All right, folks. Vince Zampella of Respawn Entertainment. We have been looking at Titanfall. It's been a pleasure to have you here, Vince. Let's talk about Titanfall release date and platforms.
We are spring 2014.
Yep.
On PC, 360, and Xbox One.
Excellent, Vince. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Have a great show. Folks, we're now going to head over to the Sony booth and see what they've got in store there before we come back to the live show here. Before we come back here.